Hey all y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carrie. This is where I talk about knitting, my tips, my tricks, my opinions, and my preferences. And today, my confession. Yes, there is something I need to tell all of you about. Almost maybe a knitting sin that I have committed. If you want to find out what is my confession, what I'm doing about it, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and hear my confession. I will have links down in the description box for all the materials that you'll see in my video today. Some of these links will be affiliate links, which will be clearly marked. I use affiliate links to help support my channel. And if you want to learn more about them and how they work, please check out my FAQ at knitswhereitsat.com. Here it is. It's time. We're going to do this. My confession. I, Carrie CraftGeek, must confess that I have been experiencing wrist pain. Wrist pain from knitting is not new to me. About 10 years ago, probably, I started experiencing wrist pain from knitting. This is very, very common for people who knit quite a bit. I mean, no matter how you knit, you are doing a repetitive motion and you are going to be subject to repetitive motion injuries. And I know it's weird to think about knitting as something that can cause injury, but it can. And I started experiencing some wrist pain. This was before I discovered lever knitting, but that set me on a journey of learning different ways to knit to try to find a way that wasn't causing so much strain on my hands. It's what led me to lever knitting. And I'm telling you, when I started knitting lever style, that wrist pain went away. I mean, I would just be able to knit for long stretches of time and not have any discomfort at all. But it came back. Probably sometime around the beginning of 2019, I started experiencing some wrist pain. I think there was a number of factors that was contributing to it. One is my career outside of all this has always required me to work quite a bit on computers. A few years ago, I had switched from using a regular mouse to a Wacom tablet. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I have no idea. That helped tremendously save my wrist. But on top of it, I do a program, a HIIT program from a company called Fit for Mom. And HIIT stands for High Intensity Interval Training. It's a lot of strength and cardio that's combined together. And, you know, just doing a lot of weights, trying to increase the number of weights that I was doing my strength training with. I think started putting strain on my wrist. I've got tiny wrists. But anyway, over the past year and a half, I've been making adjustments, lifestyle adjustments, my training. I do a lot of modifications now to make sure I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my wrist, but figuring out the knitting situation was leaving me a bit flummoxed. But I think I figured it out. About a month ago, I was, you know, just playing around, going on a Facebook group, and somebody had posted a video from YouTube of a news program in Australia from like, I think 1968, late 60s, early 70s. And it was a knitting competition in Australia. And it was speed knitting. They all knitted fast. I mean, like, people are always like, how do I knit faster? How do I knit faster? These women figured out how to knit faster. I mean, so fast where I'm like, normally I'm like, you know, knitting a couple more stitches per minute is not going to be the thing that makes you a more productive knitter, and focus more on proficiency and accuracy and things like that. These women are knitting so fast. I'm like, yeah, they probably are able to get through a lot more knitting because they are knitting significantly faster. So I was just looking at it, and as I was watching all of the knit, no matter how they were knitting, whether they were knitting lever style or continental or standard English, because they all had these different styles going on. I noticed something that was the same between all of them. And when I saw it, a bell went off in my head, and I said, I think I know why I'm experiencing wrist pain, and it's not the lever knitting, it's me. I have allowed a bad habit to creep into my knitting motion, which means I can fix it. So hold on tight, I'm going to explain it to you. I got this project here, and I haven't pulled this out in a while, but this is a blanket that I've been working on for quite some time, and it's all made up of mitered squares. This is one of those projects that, you know, gets picked up, I start working on it, and then I start working on other things, so this project gets put back down, and I think I'm ready to pick it back up again. But anyway, as you'll know, if you've watched my videos at all, I use what is called the pencil grip. And the pencil grip is very simple. I hold my right needle in my hand thusly, with the needle cradled in between my thumb and my forefinger, and I use my left needle to bring stitches on and off of the right needle. What I realized as I was watching the knitters was they were all holding their needles, whether it was this way or this way. They were all holding their needles so that their hand was very close to the tip of the needle. I realized that what I've been starting to do lately is having my needle further back in my hand. And what that was causing me to do was having to stretch my hand out further to wrap the yarn, but there was something else I was doing. There's two things. As I was flexing my hand constantly, and that kind of flexing it to stretch my hand out like that, I think has been causing more strain on my wrist than is necessary. So what I've been working on doing is very simple, which is hold the needle so that my hand is closer to the tip. And what that's allowing me to do is wrap my yarn without stretching out my hand. And that's the other thing that I'm working on breaking my habit, is when I wrap the yarn, not stretching my hand out as I do it. And what this is allowing to happen is my arm is actually doing a lot more of the motion. My whole arm is throwing the yarn. And the other thing is I'm trying to do is not circle my wrist so much when I do this, but instead just bring it forward, back, and then forward, back, so that I'm not doing so much work with my wrist the way I was. So those are really kind of the three things that I'm trying to do right now with my knitting, which is hold the needle closer to the tip of the needle, use more of my arm to do the motion, and not stretch my hand out. But instead, let it be my hand going forward and back, so that I'm limiting how much action is happening in my wrist. So yeah, that's it. That's the adjustment I've made, and I've been making these adjustments for about a month now, and I fall back into the old habit. I do, and so this is a process for me to kind of break the old habit and form better new habits. But I have to say, over the last month, since making these adjustments, my wrist pain has really diminished. It's almost, I would say, almost gone away. You know, I think there's probably still some wear and tear on my poor wrist because of just everything that I've been doing with it in my life, but it is definitely improved now over what it was like 2 months ago. It is way improved, so much. I can't even talk about it. But sometimes what seems like a really simple adjustment can have a profound impact on your comfort while knitting, and I've definitely found that to be the case in this situation. So last minute kind of thoughts before we wrap this up in terms of avoiding wrist pain and dealing with wrist pain if you are a knitter. One, do take freaking breaks. Even if you're not experiencing wrist pain, don't necessarily knit to the point where your hands are fatigued and you're tired or you're starting to experience pain. The best time to stop knitting is before there's pain at all. So take a break. You know, knit for 20-30 minutes, take a break, and then you can come back to it. I know sometimes it's tempting to just keep knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting, but your knitting will still be there. All right, that's a big one. Second, check your posture as you're knitting, right? Make sure that you're knitting so that you have good posture, your shoulders are relaxed. You want your hands to feel relaxed and without a lot of tension. These things can help because any kind of tension that's in your body is going to create more strain on your joints. So just relax. Knitting is supposed to be a relaxing activity. Allow your body to relax, but have good posture. A suggestion that I've seen that makes a lot of sense that is if you need to, put a pillow underneath your arm so that you're not having to hold it up so much and you're able to relax your arm down. And the other thing, and I'm going to have a link to some of this stuff down in the description box, but also think about warming up before you start knitting. Knitting is a physical activity, and when you do physical activities, warming up first makes a lot of sense. And there are good stretches and warm-ups for us knitters to do before we go in for a heavy knitting session. So I'm going to have links down in the description box that talk more about this. But yes, those are like 3 things that we can do as knitters to kind of help us avoid or deal with pain while we're knitting. Because if we're in pain while we're knitting, we're not going to be knitting at all. And we want to be able to keep knitting. What about you? What tips do you have for avoiding hand fatigue and having good knitting, pain-free knitting, good pain-free knitting? I'm having a very hard time talking today. Very hard time. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Be part of this conversation. This is a community that is being built here, which back when I was just a YouTube watcher and not a YouTube creator, whenever I would hear, creators being like, we're building a community, I was like, oh, I get what that's about. But now I'm sitting going, no, there's a great community that's being built here and I love it. And I have some amazing subscribers and I would love you to be a part of this community if you want. So if you have not already, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Hitting the notification bell will notify you whenever I upload a new video, or I have a live stream every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Is Knit Tea Live. Yes, Knit Tea Live. We get together with our knitting and something to drink. Soft or hard, it's up to you. We get together and we chat about knitting. We talk about what's going on in the fiber world. Oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes I do a pattern spotlight where I show off some patterns from the people who are on my fiber indie list. Again, thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, weeknight, whenever you may be watching this. And as always, happy health and happy knitting. Bye. Hey all y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carrie. This is where I talk about knitting, my tips, my tricks, my tips, and preferences and I can't believe I never screw that up. I have that down pat. There's this one line where they show the knitter and the newscaster literally says like, she uses the controversial European method. And it's like, what is it? What's the controversial European method technique? What is she doing? I think it is combo knitting. That's my guess, but anyway. That's decrease, that's a decrease. Did I miss a decrease? I missed a decrease. Sorry, I'm fixing, I missed a decrease row, and so I had to frog this back. So you're going to sit through me fixing this a little bit, but that's okay. You want to be more productive knitter? Be more careful when you're knitting so you don't have to frog back so often. That is it for today. Thank you so much for enjoying me. Oh, and by the way, if you are not ready to leave, you're like, Carrie, I'm having so much fun with you. This video just wasn't long enough. Don't worry, because at the end of the video, there are going to be suggested videos. Like, there'll be another video that you can click on of me, and we can keep this party rolling. Yes, and you'll see a little face of me pop up. If you click on that face, you can subscribe to the channel. So don't worry, you don't have to leave Carrie CraftGeek if you don't want to. But if you have to continue on with the rest of your day, totally understand. That's the beauty of the interwebs. These videos are around whenever you need them. I don't know what I'm saying. What am I doing? I don't know.